Hello and welcome to the first part, at least, of the Adventures of the Forgotten Realms set review. Why first part? Because not all cards have been revealed yet. But yeah, it should be nice to see at least most of the first cards that we have seen up to now. So, before we begin, I think there's an important point here because we are going into two clashing but similar worlds here in this new set. And I have played some Dungeons and Dragons. I've played a lot of Magic the Gathering, of course. And yeah, I know that there is a lot of controversy about this, but let's just check the cards out and see what they are like. Let's see if we like the cards themselves. Maybe it will be a little bit hard to see them without looking at what the whole set means to us, but we can talk about that as well, and there's no problem at all either. So let's just jump into the cards and see what we think about them, and then later we can talk a bit about what we think of two worlds colliding together while they are not the same worlds, and to hoping that both worlds will get better from it. So the first cards that were revealed actually showed me a lot about how much potential there is in this set. Because yes, this is just a land, this is just the plains, and we have seen a lot of those in our lives. But as you can see, these have flavor text, and this one says, "Venturing beneath the desert lands, you've discovered an alien power, pulsing with an inconceivable energy." Well, this is the beginning of a story in Dungeons and Dragons, of course. And whenever you open one of these packs, you can more vividly play out how the story would go. So that would be amazing to open a pack, at least for me, slow unpacking, but for you as well, I think. Open a pack and see what kind of stories you could build with this. Maybe you could play with your friends in this story, and that's a really cool bridge to build. So this one, Adam Paquette makes a lot of lands and they are always amazing, but this one really feels amazing. It's under the desert sands, you've discovered an alien power pulsing with inconceivable energy. That does sound like an amazing place to wander around if you are powerful enough. So yeah, let's check these out. Island, also from Adam Paquette. Wizards just knows that Adam knows how to make lands, and these two already almost perfection. Like this is, you can feel the vibe that the story will have. Alarmed by the news you brought, the storm giant king of the maelstrom has called his kin to council. So you, the adventurer, have brought news to the king of storm giants, and now he is panicking, so you must have had some important news. Amazing to play out, I think. That's just on an island. We have a swamp. We keep the same artist here. You expected to meet hostile drow in this ancient ruin, but they fled long ago. What darkness could have driven them out? So I think this is a little bit of a higher power place to be. As there were already hostile beings here, and now they have run from something else, and this castle looks alarmingly well kept together. It does not look old at all, except for the mist that is around it. So yeah, there might be a lot of workers for this one powerful being here. The mountain, also again from Adam Paquette, says, "As you make camp near the ancient ruin, you hear the sound of drums echoing in halls where no dwarf has lived in generations." Again, a little bit of mysticism, again wanting you to play out the stories, starting a story off, and that's great about these lands. At the forest of this particular cycle that was released first. Before the elf queen will aid you, you must find a way to cure the strange rot afflicting the roots of the ancient trees. So yeah, this is before you even get a quest. You need to check out what's beneath these trees, and we have seen some other places that could be beneath them already, making for some interesting ways of putting these campaigns after each other, so that's cool too. Let's look at our first non-land card, which is a 1 white mana artifact called Portable Hole, and this time we do have another artist as well, John. I read Stanko, but the words on these new cards are not always very readable to me. When Portable Hole enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls with mana value 2 or less until it leaves the battlefield. So it feels like Last Casket, but without the other ability. They fall for it every time, is the flavor text. And they do literally fall into a portable hole. So yeah, I would understand why you would be tricked by this, because if the hole is portable, there might not be a way to see it coming. Power word kill, another trope. Well, trope, the first one was the trope of starting an adventure, but the second trope is one of these power words that often come back there. Power word kill, 2 mana instant, destroy target creature that's not an angel, demon, devil or dragon. Aramil issued a long heroic challenge. Then the Lich felled him with a single word. Kill, probably. Okay, but Izzy is a great artist, and this one seems probably deceptively easy, but yeah, I must say, when I just first saw this, I thought that this was a necromancer standing here, but it's a skull, and I think that trickery is cool. But yeah, a knife here, and it's not his because we don't see any place for him to hide his knife on his clothing, so a very deadly looking card, and I think that was the purpose of this. Prosperous Innkeeper is a 2 mana halfling citizen. I don't think we have had halflings in Magic yet, so that's really interesting. That we have not seen this before. By the way, I cannot see the chat. I want to click something. Okay, it's back. Cool. Streamer skills. By Eric Deschamps. I have seen a lot of art from him, I think, while looking through these. This Innkeeper enters with a treasure token, making him sort of 1 mana, and then whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Can be good. Again, lifelink in green. There has been some words about that, but yeah, this one was designed before the conflicting words came, so nothing they could do about that. It is cool to see a halfling because it's really weird to see him standing here and being so short, and it really makes us think about what kind of person this is. Tiamat is one of the first legendaries that was the first actually legendaries that was released, and is now the forefront of this video because of that. He costs all mana and 2 mana for a flying 7/7, so that's a 7 mana 7/7 if you can have all the colors, which is the hard part about this. When he enters the battlefield, if you cast it, search your library for up to 5 dragon cards, not named Tiamat, that each have different names. So 1 dragon for each head, I assume. Reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. My children will rule over all. So this is just a proud parent. You can see that parents can be in all colors. They can be very angry, they can be very emotional, they can be very controlling, they can be very like orderly or old and natural. Humans. So yeah, that's why this is these colors, and that's great design. Vorpal Sword is a 1 mana artifact equipped. That was a joke, by the way. Vorpal Sword is a 1 black mana artifact equipment, which says if you have it equipped, the creature gets +2/+0 and has Death Touch. Probably Death Touch being the most relevant here. You can equip it for 2 black mana, so not turn 1, but for 3 mana you will have it equipped. And make your smaller creatures relevant. Then for 8 mana, until end of turn, Vorpal Sword gains whenever a equipped creature deals that combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. So if you are certain that you can hit your opponent, or you really want to remove a creature that they have, and they are probably not going to block your 3/1 or something, then you can use this, and they either have to block with at least something or kill your creature, because otherwise they will lose the game. Caio Monteiro made this art, and it does seem really dark, and it does seem like this knight did have to go through a little bit to get this particular head for his quest, I hope. And now I have revealed one of my secrets, which is that I just put the pictures over the other pictures. Lol. Lol. Spider Queen, 5 mana, legendary planeswalker. Comes in with 4 loyalty counters, and the art is by Jesper Icing. This queen does look like that. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's just in a way weirdly relatable where you don't want it to relate with you, I think. So what it says is whenever a creature you control dies, put a loyalty counter on her. So that's how you uptick her. Having your own creatures die, and then you can draw a card and lose 1 life. You don't have to play with her loyalty counters that way, and you can keep drawing. Or for -3 you can create 2 black spider creature tokens with menace and reach, so she is protected the moment you put her into the battlefield. And that's often the most important part. This one is on a minus ability, so that makes it so that she only has to be hit with 1 power, but still might be pretty easy to keep her on the battlefield for the first time, and then after that, of course, you can protect her with your own hand. Her ultimate, which I often mostly disregard, but does probably make for the fun part of the card, says that you get an emblem with whenever an opponent is dealt combat damage by 1 or more creatures you control. If the player lost less than 8 life this turn, they lose life equal to the difference. So probably saying if you can attack with 1 of your spiders, they will be hurt for a lot. I don't know why it is 8 life. So I did play a lot of campaigns, but they were mostly Dungeons and Dragons campaigns, but they were mostly edited and not the basic ones, and not from a book or something. We just wrote them ourselves. So yeah, I don't really know about these characters too much, but that's nice. We can learn about that later. But there's probably a reason why it's 8 life. Maybe 8 legs for the spiders. Could be something like that. Bruenor Battlehammer. A 4 mana Boros or Lorehold. Nowadays a dwarf warrior who is a legendary. There's only 1 of him. Each creature you control gets +2/+0 for each equipment attached to it. So making all your creatures want to be equipped and a lot more aggressive because of it. You may pay 0 rather than pay the equip cost of the first equip ability you activate each turn. So with equipment instancy you can make this really strong, but otherwise you can still put some really strong and big equipment on your creatures with this dwarf warrior. Knew I'd find you in trouble if I came out and looked for you. So this is a friend. You have been in the ice for way too long, and he probably figured you were in trouble because of it. Drist do Urden, I think, and I am probably saying that really wrong. 5 mana Elf Ranger. which is a 3/3 with double strike, which is not bad. So it's at least 6 attack that is going for. But of course there is more, and we have a dwarf and an elf revealed after each other, probably pointing at like Lord of the Rings and stuff. But when Drist enters the battlefield, you can create Gwen Weaver or something, a legendary 4/1 green cat creature token with trample. So that's cool for the cat tribal people out there, but also the fact that this becomes a lot of power that you put into the battle. Whenever a creature dies, if it had power greater than Drist's power, put a number of +1 counters on Drist equal to the difference. So the green cat can make this a 4/4, but also just putting more counters on a double striker is always great. So, and it is really interesting because this is a legendary creature that wants to play with a legendary Celestia creature that wants to play with big creatures. But Celestia is usually, in my mind, like a token pair of colors. So yeah, cool that this wants to play with the bigger creature. So yeah, definitely, now that I think about it, great for a cat deck that probably wants to play big creatures and a few more creatures than your opponent as well. So that's cool. Elves, not really, I think, but Celestia, big creatures, could be cool with this. I don't think this is the main card for it though, but still interesting. Art by Tyler Jacobson. Yeah, look above you is what I would like to say about this. Flump, which is cool to say. Try it yourself. You don't have a lot of people listening to you, I think. So try it for yourself to say flump, please. But this is a 2-mana defender flying jellyfish, which is an 0/4 sort of wall type of creature. But when it is dealt damage, you and target opponent each draw a card. So for multiplayer this is fun, but also white might not draw a lot of cards in standard either, so you probably want this. Flumps siphon thoughts and energy from evil aberrations and are often eager to share the dark knowledge they obtain with friendly adventurers. So that's exactly what is happening. When an evil aberration comes along, this jellyfish will share the knowledge with friendly adventurers. So yeah, that's cool that they made the mechanics literal to the type of card this is. And it's just a friendly jellyfish as well. And also card draw in white in any way. It's cool that they are working on it. Like, people have been saying they want card draw in white a lot, and it's cool that they have listened. Like, that's great job. I feel like O just got spoiled on the cat dying, lol. Like I just got spoiled on the cat dying. Oh. Well, if you were planning on reading some kind of story about this, it's not necessarily true that it will die, but the mechanics do say that it will die. So, sorry. Tasha's Hideous Laughter. A 3-mana sorcery, each opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until the player has exiled cards with total mana value 20 or more. So 20, of course, the number of this set, being a D20, the most popular nerdy die there is. So yeah, mill is something that not a lot of people like, but there are also a lot of people that like to play it, so they need to keep it around. And I think it's cool that they put it on such a big kind of card. And this is really new, like the mana value for mill is a new type of deck and sort of punishes decks with low mana counts, but also plays into a recursion strategy with lower mana counts. So that will be interesting. The Rager Bear reared back, opened its terrible maw and collapsed in a fit of horrifying giggles. So yeah, I think one of the things with Dungeons and Dragons campaigns is that anything could happen. Like someone plans out that you will find a dragon in his lair and it has 6 legs or more, and it's terrible, and it roars really loudly, and then you stumble onto him and someone says, "Oh, I want to talk to that dragon," and then their charm is so great that the dragon will just roll around and giggle. It's great that can happen. I like the mechanic of milling to a cumulative mana value. It seems like a smart way to make it more powerful. Yeah, that's really cool. And also the part where in Arena you have to wait for all the triggers of mill is a little bit annoying. So making it one time, I think it's great. And Ilse Gort, really great artist, and you can see that her details are there, and it's a fun piece of art as well. I mean, the story was meant to be fun, but it looks fun. It looks like the dragon is having fun too. Nadar, Selfless Paladin, which is part of a cycle of more class-based creatures. A 3 mana white-aligned legendary creature, Dragon Knight, which is a 3/3 with Vigilance. A 3 mana 3/3 with Vigilance is already pretty good, but again, power levels have changed so much that doesn't really say anything anymore. But when it enters the battlefield or attacks, venture into the dungeon. So that's an apart kind of mechanic where you will go into a dungeon. We will look at those later as well. And then you have effects that keep on piling up while you move through that dungeon. So if you have not seen that, this is the explanation. Kind of. Other creatures you control get +1/+1 as long as you've completed the dungeon. So when you get to the end of it, some cards care about you having completed one. Yeah, cool. Aaron Miller also is like the artist with the most classic, one of the most classic Magic the Gathering vibes to it, and I think it's cool that we see like the sword and the way the Dragon Knight is built feels really like how I remember Magic, I think. Shortcut Seeker, a 4 mana human rogue. Whenever it deals damage, combat damage, I keep forgetting to say that, combat damage to a player, you also venture into the dungeon. The old trapdoor under a rock trick. This is almost too easy. Yeah, so if you are an experienced dungeoneer, so to say, you will have no problem with inexperienced riders for campaigns. You might know the tricks and know where to look. I like the diversity of creature types we see here. I appreciate when the cards buck the trends and stereotypes of fantasy races. You wouldn't expect them on a white lizard man, but it's cool. Yeah, lizards are of course mostly red, I think, mostly. And them making one white, like you would, but it's a dragon of course. But yeah, so dragons can be any color as we will see in this set, but I do get what you mean. It's a hot-blooded type of creature that is suddenly white aligned, which might be a little weird. Gloomstalker, a 3 mana dwarf ranger, so another type of job you can have, or like class of course. As long as you've completed the dungeon, it has double strike, so a 2/3 double strike. I'll make sure you never mistake a roper for a stalagmite again. So we will see some more stalagmite jokes in the set. I don't know why there is so much to do about stalagmites in Dungeons and Dragons, to be honest. But yeah, they keep repeating that. Fiashino are red. Yeah, those are dragon people as well. Eliwick Tumblestrom, 4 mana, legendary planeswalker with 4 loyalty counters again. This one has a card strung in her. How do you call that instrument? I don't know. It's not a guitar, it has like 8 strings or something. But it's fantasy, so it might not be a real instrument. With a nice frog that I do seem to recognize as sort of spore frog, it looks like that, and 3 fairies who are listening to her music as well. And she is having fun with the music as well. Steve Prescott did a really great job, and the bunny, by the way, here in the frame. But she can let you venture into the dungeon, or let you look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. If it's a legendary, you gain 3 life. Again, life gaining green. Put the rest on the bottom, random. You get an emblem with, and that's -2, so no protection per se, but you get an emblem with creatures you control have trample and haste and get +2/+2 for each differently named dungeon you've completed. So yeah, we don't really know how strong this is yet. We haven't seen the mechanic yet. A loot? I have no idea. It almost looks like a hurdy-gurdy without the crank. I think it's supposed to be a loot though. Okay, cool. You have more knowledge about this than I do, to be honest. But yeah, cool to see a planeswalker that's not overpowered. And I think there are not many that are really overpowered in the set. So that's cool too. Back to the lands. There is a lot coming in this one, like 10 or something. But we'll read them because it's cool. But not Adam Paquette again. It's Piotr Dura that has made this one. As the sun reaches its zenith on the day of the solstice, a castle shimmers into view on the hilltop, just as the ancient text predicted. Another start of a story. I think it's cool that you can make a lot of stories with these, so that's cool. The island from, again, Piotr. In crystal-studded waters far below the surface, you've discovered an incubating egg of mysterious origin. Not much of a story it seems, but like one egg could make for a lot of story after that you've discovered it, so that's cool. The plains, again from Piotr. You've traced the tensions in 10 towns to the dwindling reindeer populations, but what has been hunting them? So the tensions in 10 towns, they're mad because they don't have reindeer and they're probably friends or something. But something has been hunting them in these snowlands, so probably like a yeti or something. I'm guessing. Mountain, you meant to simply rest in Hundelstone, but the miners have told you stories of whispers in the dark below. So again, a little bit of a start to it. And I don't know if these lands reference each other, because we have seen something under the mountains already, so maybe. But you could make your own thing that is beneath the miners' mountains, and there's a lot to play with here. Oh, yeah, it's not a snowland for the mechanics, of course, but yeah. It does look like a snowland. And we've just had so many, so yeah, that's a little bit weird. Swamp says, as a plague ravages the world above, you've made your way into the Underdark in search of a fungal panacea, I think. But yeah, if you want to play a little with the Dominarian vibe fungi creatures, then this is the campaign for you. Oh, not yet. So there is even more coming later of these lands. Cloister Gargoyle says, for 3 mana, it's a 0/4, so a little bit of a wall here that can still attack. But when it enters, you venture into the dungeon again. And as long as you've completed the dungeon, Cloister Gargoyle gets +3/+0 and has flying. So you can attack with it later. You just have to complete the dungeon. By the way, this gargoyle has blood on its claw already, so I don't think this has always been a statue. Might have been alive before. Dungeon Crawler. Enters the battlefield tapped. It's a zombie for 1 and it's a 2/1. So that's okay. That's the one we know a lot of. But whenever you complete a dungeon, so you won't do that a lot because most are 3 or 4 rooms. But you might. You may return it from your graveyard to your hand. A little bit slow because of that, but and you won't do it a lot, but it's cool. It's an uncommon still, but Svetlin Velenov though, that's a cool way of crawling out of a dungeon, and it does seem to say hi, which is a little bit of the Svetlin special. I think of it as giving them another chance to achieve their potential. They can try to enter another dungeon themselves, so that's cool. So does the gargoyle not respect you enough unless you've beaten a dungeon? That might be a cool story. I will say yes. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. And then it will attack though. So maybe it will... Yeah, it respects you, so it will attack your opponents for you. Would be cool. Trying to understand the flavor here. Yeah, why it starts attacking when you have... Maybe it's because you have retrieved an artifact of some sorts, but I like your explanation better, I think. Definitely. But yeah, why would the zombie do it again? Maybe because your adventurers have finished this dungeon and now the zombie gets to try as well. Maybe that's it. Reminds me of the jokes about necromancer characters who think of themselves as just very late healers. True. I mean, yeah. A little bit too late, maybe, but maybe in their eyes it's not too late. Maybe it's the perfect timing. Evolving Wilds. We know this card, but Muhammad, I don't know, Vira Daus, I don't know how to say that, to be honest. I will look that up later. But a new artist in my mind, I haven't seen him before, personally. But it's cool that this is a sort of castle with volcanoes as its towers. That's a really unique vision on a castle. Parts of Faerun still churn with the magic of arrogant Netherese archmages long dead. Cool idea. These must be really massive then. And these archmages must have been really strong if they can make volcanoes. So yeah, if I think about the previous Evolving Wilds, they were just forests or something in my mind. But this is really unique, and but we'll have to look them up. So yeah, it's really cool. Love the wild geography here. So yeah, you mean that the castle just seems to pop out of the ground and you can almost hear it cracking here. And like the water before it, and the water that's coming up off of it still, that's as if it has just recently been rediscovered. That's really cool. And I think you could make a story out of this as well, in a way. Maybe there are more like fire mages that want to learn the secrets of these old archmages, and then they try to discover it and meet all kinds of old volcano elemental like creatures. That could be cool. And more lands. This time Sarah Finnegan, the plane says, seeking to learn why the ancestors have fallen silent, you've made your way to their ancient cairns. That's a really cool idea, because the characters will all have... I like when you let your players choose a character, but they can't just choose anything. They have to focus their characters. Like in this case, they have to have a sort of a link to the ancient ancestors, and they have to have a reason to go together. So they have to know that it might be dangerous or something. And this start kind of does both already. Netherese archmages made floating cities, but they abused magic too much and sort of weakened the fabric of reality, and their magic started to fail, crashing them into the earth. It's been a while, yeah, for me too. But in any ways, that's a really cool story. Crashing them into the earth, and then... But why did volcanoes come onto those. Maybe it's because the cities crashed into the earth so hard that the earth cracked against it and made volcanoes. But it seems like they want you to think that the Netherese Archmages made these volcanoes. So yeah, I don't know why they would make it like this. Then the island. Oh, so we are mixing artists now. The island is from Titus Lanter. As your ship clears the edge of Waterdeep Harbor, you notice pirate sails on the horizon. What has made them so bold? To come this close to the city. They are really close to the city, actually. So yeah, maybe there's a sort of treasure. Maybe you will find them with the pirates. That's a nice choice to have, but it's a really hard campaign to build around then. Because maybe your adventurers will just choose to kill the pirates. That's not something you would want then. But still, cool. You know, those pirate sails on the horizon. What has made them so bold? And you have a choice already. Will you fight them or will you try to reason or choose sides with them? Cool. The swamp from Titus again. As you trudge through the sewers of Baldur's Gate, this is one that we all know from the games, of course. It dawns on you, where are all the rats? Maybe they are coming together to make a plan. Or maybe they have been eradicated, but I don't think that's the case. Maybe the pirates are running from something. Yeah, that's the general thing I think that a lot of these are doing. Like, they are running from something, but I like the fact that they're such a cool treasure that they wanted to come close to the city anyways. But if they're running from something, maybe a kraken of some sorts, that would be cool too. If that's the case, you can make 2 campaigns, one for the players and lie a little bit. One the players killed the pirates, and one they went to sail on and found the kraken. That would be cool. Maybe it's both. Then. But the rats are coming together for a little bit of playtime, and they are making plans to overthrow the city. I think. Mountains, your path lie... Oh, Sarah again, by the way. Your path lies across the spine of the world, where every cave hides some new danger. That's a lot of work. You will have to make a lot of different rooms for these caves, or you might want to do it randomly and have people roll dice for it, but I don't like those. But they can be fun, and it's nice to know at least that there are multiple ways of playing Dungeons and Dragons. The forest from Sarah again. As you venture deeper under the boughs of Neverwinter Wood, arrows in the tree trunk suggest you might not be welcome. Probably not Neverwinter, so always summer. But there's snow mountains there, so I don't think that's the case. Yeah, arrows in the tree, that's mostly elves. But it's cool to think of something else in the woods that could shoot a bow and arrow. So maybe it's like a centaur tribe or something like that. You can do a lot with this as well. And Sarah did make the arrows here, so it's nice to have a little bit of art for your players to enjoy too, and to have a great setting already. The plains from Titus again. Searching for a vanished caravan that was bound for Silvery Moon, you've come to a bank of mysterious fog. This is a really cool type of adventure too, I think, where you have adventurers that are probably out for like trading or more money kind of stuff, and they come onto something mysterious, but they probably won't believe it, and they want to investigate anyways. That's a really cool way of selling it, at least. And then after the adventure, they will really have changed to believing more stuff, and that's cool. But yeah, again, you can play with it in 1,000 ways, which is cool. The island from Sarah says, after careful study, you've determined that the giant ruins serve to track the movements of the planets, and they will soon align once more. So you look through these giant ruins, through these holes, and you see that the planets are almost there, they're almost aligning, and you wonder what they mean. Cool. You won't know what they mean, but maybe you will have to explore the ruins some more for that. I hope there is an answer. The Jace excellent lands being some of my... I like when lands have the little characters in there for skill. What? Oh. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, the Jace ones were really cool. That you had the whole cycle of chases that you could see adventuring through Ixalan. That was cool too. But yeah, here as well. Are they everywhere? I don't think so, right? No. But it's cool that they did that here. To make it feel a little bit more lonely too, I think. Because if you look at these 3 people, you think, well, there's really nothing else here. We have to go investigate that huge fog. Because otherwise we might not know what's going on. But yeah, I think this one is cool too, that you have to investigate the ruins more, because otherwise you won't know what the planets mean. Or maybe you have someone that knows a lot of astrology for some reason. Maybe that's a way to play this. Maybe there's some old woman. I don't know as well as a woman, but that can explain it. But the swamp from Sarah says, your search for a stolen artifact has brought you to the edge of the mere of dead men. Looks cool though. Like, it's a kind of stairs. It looks a little bit distorted. There's a random kind of throne here, and you really don't want to wade through here. You really have to slow your characters down to get through here. So yeah, that's interesting, because it will slow them down. It will make them easier to catch if there's like an attack from all sides. They have to be really strategic about their movement. And it's called the Mere of Dead Men. Like, you don't want to enter this anyways. Exactly. It sounds like a pleasant place. Well, not really then. Yeah, I think they stumbled onto it. Your search for a stolen artifact has brought you. So they didn't want to go there, but yeah, maybe in the summer there are people that say this, and then they just go and jump into the lake, find some dead men. Might be someone's jam. The mountain from Titus says, you ventured deep into the heart of the mountain. So that's what I mean. There are multiple cards mentioning a mountain, of course. It's a mountain land, but it's cool that there seems to be an option to put these lands after one another and make a really big campaign out of it. You ventured deep into the heart of the mountain to determine what can calm its quaking rage. So a little bit of the thing with the archmages we just had, that the mountains might be angry now. But yeah, a little bit of bird for size here. I think it's a bird, something like that. And the mountain is angry, so yeah, let's check it out. Let's just get into the mountain. I love that instinct. The forest from Titus says, as monsters from the Underdark rampage across the world above, you've delved deep underground to determine what has driven them upward. So another little bit of Severling vibe, and really dark in a way for a forest too. Like, it's a little bit of the Golgari vibe where the nature has mutated and now they've come up, and you can imagine your own story here again. Maybe they came up because they are angry at the overworld people, or maybe they just want to expand their lands or something, or maybe these stones are breaking and they have only one last chance to get outside. So yeah, you don't know. Maybe you will help them with that. Maybe you will help them build. Maybe that's just it. So yeah, you can do a lot with it, is my point. Trelasara, Moon Dancer, is another Celestia card, another elf as well. Whenever you gain life, did the other one? No, the other one did not gain life, but there were a few green gain life cards. Put a +1 counter on her and scry 1. So we have seen a lot of +1 counter whenever you gain life synergies, like with the Ajani's Bridemaid. But this is a definite upgrade that kind of forces you into Celestia, which is interesting. Because scrying 1, the problem with those mono-white lifelink decks was that they would stop drawing, and if you could board wipe them, they were done. So yeah, cool that there's a sort of... it's an upgrade, but it forces you out of the color, which makes it like less focused. So that's cool. Alistair teaches us that we are not bound by the circumstances of our birth. We all may find beauty and light if we have the courage to seek them. To seek beauty and light. Okay. So yeah, you can change after your birth. Maybe you were not born as a noble, but by seeking them inside, the beauty and the light, you can become, you can get higher up in the ranks of the elves here. And it's cool. In a way, when you dance, you do find a little bit of light in yourself and beauty, in a way. Maybe you don't dance beautifully, but it still feels beautiful. And that's important. Valor Singer. 3-man. Oh, by the way, Kieran Jenner made this art. Do want to know that. And it's a little bit of symmetry too here, which is cool. Like the sword going over into the moon, which is also curved, and then her arm being curved like the moon, and they all and her curve being curved like the moon. That's cool. These elves seem much more chill about the beauty seeking thing than the Lorwyn ones. Yeah, they don't think you can change, so they just finish you. True. Much prefer these guys. Yeah, same. Like, you might not feel beautiful sometimes. Some days you're not beautiful. Maybe you woke up in the wrong way, and you can't always be beautiful. Not in the same way, at least. So yeah, chill people. Valor Singer, 3 mana with a sort of heart-like thing in her hand. Or drum, maybe. And we can see a huge orc running really fast here, and the manticore here, and like a human soldier, I think. And this girl is just here to sing about it. There's only one way forward into legend. A little bit of the call time vibe here. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +1/+0. Not the strongest, but still cool that she wants to be in the middle of battle like this. But still, +1 power every time. It's still recurring, so that's might be a little bit strong. But we have seen way better versions of this. The Tarask, in my language, that would mean, or at least a part of it would mean, like going out to a cafe and sit outside. But 9 mana dinosaur, legendary creature. The Tarask has haste and ward 10, as long as it was cast. You have to remember if it was cast, I think, or something. But has haste, so 10/10 with haste. And 10 mana ward. How will you get over that? There's no way. Whenever the Tarask attacks, it fights target creature defending player control, so it has almost hexproof, like something like that. And then it fights every time it attacks. When it rises, nations fall. So legendary, not really a commander of, really, I don't think. A ramp commander maybe, but really strong creature still. It is 9 mana, so it does want to have hexproof and haste, but that does make it almost good. Philip Bourberon did make cool art as well, as I noticed. The air behind him is really... you can see that it's drawn, but when you focus on the dinosaur, it doesn't seem that way. It almost seems natural, and still the clouds point at this dragon as if he is slurping it all up. So that's cool. And the birds are flying around him. You can see one of them is firing a flaming ray at it. But he doesn't seem phased. So I think this town is kind of done for. How did he get into the middle of this town? We don't know. Nothing around him is destroyed, but maybe he flew there or something. So yeah. I think the complaints are kind of overblown, but it does suck a little that it doesn't have trample. Well, I think why would a large creature need trample? It's because it is a finisher then. This one is not really a finisher, it's more of a value card, because it just attacks a lot of creatures and then attacks. It's not a May ability as well, so you will have to be able to kill 2 creatures or have an opponent that only has 1 creature. But I think it's more of a value card, and that's really weird. It's 9 mana for a value card. You don't want to value at 9 mana, you want to finish the game already. But it's still a large creature with ward 10. So I think that's goofy enough in many ways. Hive of the Eye Tyrant. So we see the Eye Tyrant a little bit later, but he had all the evil legendary creatures kind of have their own lands, which is cool. They have the ability of, if you control 2 or more lands, it enters tapped. So if you have 1 land or less, it enters untapped. They are just tapping for the color they are in, so this one's black. And then for 4 mana until end of turn, you can tap this itself, because it doesn't have to tap for this ability, but you don't want that, I don't think. Hive of the Eye Tyrant becomes a 3/3 black beholder creature with menace, and whenever this creature attacks, exile target card from defending player's graveyard. A little bit of graveyard hate, but otherwise a 3/3 on a land that you can get is always nice to have, in a way. And looking at this, Johannes Vos, this is really smart. He made the cave in the shape of an eye. And then there's also a sort of iris here. Like, you can see that this is the middle part of the eye. And then with a little bit of a evil cat sort of pupil in there. So that's well made, by the way. That the Eye Tyrant has a cave in the shape of an eye. And is this a dead eye? I don't know. Maybe. But the other one is the Hall of Storm Giants, which has the same first story, but is blue. And for 6 mana, you can have it become a 7/7 blue giant creature with ward 3. That's a really big land creature. I haven't seen that a lot before, so that's cool. That's a really big one. It's a giant, but it's big for a land. I don't know why these are lands. Maybe their home becomes what they are. That is true to an extent. That your home becomes who you are. So take care of it. I don't think I want to see the words hive and eye that close together. No. It seems like a recipe for trypophobia. I don't know what that is. Given beholders are born from nightmares, though, I suppose that makes sense. True. Blue giants synergize with Kaldheim a bit. Yeah, that's true as well. They don't have red giants here, do they? I don't think so. They have trolls. And and gnolls, but not red giants, I don't think. Owl bear, they have this as well. This is a bird bear, 5 mana. For the bear tribal people that really wanted that, this is an addition. 4/4 trample with the ability Keen Senses. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. It could just say that, but this is the D&D set, so it will say that this has the ability of Keen Senses. And the becoming purpose of this is that you can use this creature in your campaigns as well and give it Keen Senses in the campaign. So that's really cool when you open a pack and you can see what creatures are in there and you can make the story for yourself. That's really cool. Many people believe a misguided wizard created the first owlbear, but others insist that these creatures have always dwelt in the Feywild. What do we choose to believe? That a wizard did this? Or that they have always dwelt there? Like they are the oldest people of the forest. That's cool too. But maybe a wizard. We'll have to think about what's more fun. I love owlbears, the most adorable little abominations. These are a little bit of an abomination. Because you thought bears were a little bit bad to have around. Well, they are not really aggressive. But owls, when you provoke them, you will never get rid of them. So, in a forest nearby my home, we once had an owl there, and the thing is, when any animal ever, or any human being as well, starts to have kids, they will not be nice to you. So the whole forest was off limits for like a long time because of that. So and you could hear the owl as well sometimes, or at least we thought that we could hear it, and it was really terrifying to have him around. But we accepted him. Minion of the Mighty. I've seen a lot of memes about this one, with people holding stuff above their heads, and I don't know. I had to laugh about that. But this is a 1-mana kobold. Kobolds being creatures that sacrifice themselves to dragons, and as you can see here, the dragon is ready. A 0/1 with menace. So you cannot block this 0/1 with one creature, but this will probably become more relevant later. Whenever it attacks, if you attacked with creatures with total power 6 or greater, this combat you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking. So Dragon Tribal. There are a lot of dragons in the set. Have a lot of power on your battlefield. Hope your opponent has one creature, but otherwise still attack with this, because you can put a dragon, doesn't matter how big it is, from your hand onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking. That's a lot. That's a lot. Fun fact, the first owlbear was based on a cheap plastic bootleg kaiju for Gary Gygax, picked up at a dollar store and used as a mini in this game. Oh, cool. Same with the Rust Monster and Bullet Land Shark. We'll get to those later, that's cool. Was based on a cheap plastic pudding kaiju toy. Oh, so and they used it, and then they were like, oh, but we use this as a token. Should it be a real creature? Oh, that's a cool story. Nice. At 50, by the way, we'll do some water work. We'll get some water. But Minion of the Mighty can be really strong. That's sick that it's only 1 mana. Purple Worm. 7 mana worm. This spell costs 2 less if you cast if a creature died this turn, so not multiple, but then it's only a 5 mana, 8/7 with Ward 2. So Ward is coming back again. I think they have already decided that this will become an evergreen ability. Underground civilizations maintain magical barriers around their settlements to deter these monsters. And they are not always successful, so to see. But maybe they are outside of their city. That might be true. But magical barriers, maybe this one can't go through magic, but it does have its own. Maybe it's the ward ability reflects the fact that people make barriers, and this swarm is protected by their barriers as well. That's a great thing. But again, a big green creature, the second big green creature that doesn't have any way to dodge blockers, but still big green creatures is just what they do. And I think if you gave this trample, it would be so much better that the stat line had to be a lot less. Xanathar, the big eye that we saw before, Guild Kingpin. So adventurers guilds, it's nice to have them. I mean, if you have played with the same play group for a long time, it's nice to build a guild around it, and you can store your characters there and maybe have players play their old characters for a little bit before going on to the characters that you will use in your campaign. I think the fact that you can use a guild for that's a really cool way of making inside jokes with your play group. But yeah, this card, let's talk about the art later, but 6 mana, 5/6, Beholder. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose target opponent. This is so evil. Until end of turn, that player can't cast spells. You may look at the top card of their library anytime, and they can't look at it. So you can say, ooh, that's a cool card, and then they won't know what it is. You may look at the top card, and you may play the top card of their library, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast spells this way. And you can choose a new player every upkeep. So if you don't like the cards that you are seeing at the top of the library of this particular player, you can just choose the next one. But the art, this Beholder has fish balls around him. He has little people here who are sleeping together. A little goblin that is trading. He has a big dude. He has some people playing with magic here. He has a fish dude here as well. A brain. Just a brain. And his brother is put into another fishbowl, which is really funny to me. A little bit of an evil guy. And then the best part from Kieran Jenner is this guy's look. He's like, that's cool. Icing Death. Frost Tyrant. A 4 mana flying vigilance 4/3 in white. So now you cannot say that white is bad anymore. No, just kidding. You can still say that. When it dies, create Icing Death Frost Tongue. A legendary white equipment artifact token with equipped creature gets +2/+0 whenever equipped creature attacks. Tap target creature defending player controls. So that's a strong ability to have, tapping a creature. In limited definitely, but standard could be strong as well. And of course the ability is I muted myself. The ability is a sort of frosty thing, so that's cool. But yeah, 4 mana flying vigilance 40 is already strong. But it's a mythic, so. Is this a legendary equipment? Yeah. Okay, so you can only have one equipment, but then you can play the dragon again. Sphere of Annihilation, before we go and get some water. Sphere of Annihilation is a black X mana artifact, and it ends the battlefield with X void counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile it, all creatures and planeswalkers with mana value less than or equal to the number of void counters on it, and all creatures and planeswalker cards in graveyards with mana value less than or equal to the number of void counters on it. So all creatures and planeswalkers from the battlefield and all creatures and planeswalkers in all graveyards. Okay. So you can use this, you can make sure that you have some higher value creatures and planeswalkers on the battlefield than the amount of void counters you use. Or you could use this in a board wipe Artifact Matters deck, which exists now. So with Lack in its color as well. Jason Felix. Are those zombies? I think those are zombies or something. Draugr, something like creatures. And this guy is making a sphere that will explode at the beginning of your next upkeep. Cool. So your opponents won't be able to build new creatures, and you will on that next turn. That's a nice addition. I think that's really strong, by the way. Just make this really big. Make sure your opponents won't be able to kill many of your creatures, or won't be able to play that turn too much, and you can play later. So that's strong. Oh yeah, water. So yeah, let's get some water, and I will see you guys in 5 minutes. And I will put on the music a little bit louder, if you like that. And if you don't, just say it later, because I won't read it right now. Yo, yo. I don't often say yo, so this is a special moment. Did you guys get your water? That's the most important thing. Because you need to drink water. It's a nice sunny day for me. I don't know if it's for you. But do make sure that you do get your water. Especially if you're talking a lot. Yeah, let's go. The Den of the Bugbear, which you will see later as well. If you control 2 or more... Oh, again, that stuff. But this one for 4 mana, you can make a red goblin creature. 3/2, with whenever it attacks, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking. So an extra creature on this land, that's a cool effect. To have that there's something that stays around a little bit. It's only a 1/1, but... yeah, feels red as well, that it's attacking already. I think that's a nice drawback for a lot of red spells that might make them a little bit stronger otherwise, so that's cool. Flameskull, 3 mana flying, it cannot block with 3/1, and it's a mythic as well. So a flying 3/1 for 3 does not really feel red. Maybe the 1 toughness does. But it's cool that they have it. And then Rejuvenation, when it dies, exile it. If you do, exile the top card of your library until the end of turn. You may play one of those cards. One of those. Exile the top card of your library. That's one card. One of those. Oh, if you cast Flame Skull this way, you can't play the other card. Oh. Oh, so you let this die, then you have the other card exiled as well, and your Flame Skull. You can choose to play the Flame Skull again, or the card from your library. Okay. That's cool. So you can keep recurring your Flame Skull. It's kind of immortal in that way, as long as it's not exiled before it dies. Yeah, so this is a sort of infinite 3/1 flyer. That's really strong, actually. A little bit, that does feel red in a way, with the goblin that kept coming back as well. Squee, I think. So yeah, and you can look for a card that you really need. So it's a lot of filtering as well. Xavier Ribeiro, I don't know him very well, but these flames look really cool. And especially the green ones coming from the top of his head. That look like hair. Those look really cool. You come to a river. So there is this little bit of a cycle that says you come to a certain place and then the narrator should keep talking, and then you can choose what you do with the river. We see one of these Dragon Knights, an elf, a little bit of a classic group of adventurers for Dungeons and Dragons here. You can fight the current, just go through the river, return target non-net permanent to its owner's hand, or find the crossing. A little bit more of a careful way, but maybe because you chose to go around the river, you will lose something else. Target creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn and cannot be blocked this turn. So a bridge makes you unblockable, apparently. But it's cool that they made you choose, and therefore you can change the campaign because of it. That's cool too. Cave of the Frost Dragon. So Frost Dragon is kind of alluding back to the flying dragon. But also, again, we see the pattern of a dragon in the cave itself. I think it's really cool that they made it that way. Johannes did for all of them, I think. This one for 5 mana becomes a 3/4 white dragon creature with flying. That's it. But it's still strong, like it's a 3-powered flyer. That's still cool for a land. Mimic. That's a really annoying annoying creature to come across. You see a treasure, you think, yes, I have something, but no, it will attack you. 2 mana artifact that you can sacrifice to add 1 mana of any color. So it's a kind of a one-time mana rock for that. But it can also become a shapeshifter with 3/3 until end of turn. So if you have a tribal deck, that's cool. I don't think that's really strong though, but it has its utilities. I think this is a really great stance for this as well. The adventurer is a little bit careful, is looking with his flame here, and he wants to expect a room, but he still cannot see the mouth of the treasure. So when he gets close, that's a really gross thing to see when you thought you were going to get treasure here. The Black Staff of Waterdeep. So Waterdeep is recurring here, and we see a little bit of a giant above. They have just been attacked by pirates, as we saw before. Anna Steinbauer made this. It's really cool that she made the giant being or statue in the background like this. It's a 1 mana legendary artifact where you may choose not to untap it. So it probably has different effects because of it. Animate Walking Statue. For 2 mana and tapping it, another target non-token artifact you control becomes a 4/4 artifact creature for as long as the Black Staff remains tapped. So you can choose at your upkeep to let the other creature stay a 4/4 artifact creature, or revert it back and then maybe use the ability again on another non-token artifact. So in a way, at your 3rd turn or something, you can have a 4/4. But yeah, you can use it again and again and use your artifacts like your Mimic. So yeah, cool. And like your treasure chest, 3 mana for an under artifact. For 4 mana, you can sacrifice it, so you open the treasure chest. This treasure chest, by the way, is the same one. Yeah, look at these skulls, how they are layered. Skull, bone, skull, skull, boot. Skull, bone, skull, skull, boot. Yeah, that's the same. This is the same treasure, and this is the same adventurer as we saw in the other art. And now they are coming up, and now we don't see the mouth. Okay, yeah, I know that it can hide it, but that's a little bit suspicious. But you can sacrifice it and roll d20, and whatever you roll chooses for you what effect you get. So trapped, you lose 3 life. That's really unlucky. 2 to 9 makes you create 5 treasure tokens. So for 7 mana total, you can create 5 treasure tokens. With 10 to 19, you get a little bit of knowledge in 3 cards. 4 mana, 3 cards is good. 7 not, but it's not meant to be played at once. So you gain 3 life, which is sometimes really nice to have. And search your library for a card. If it's an artifact card, you may put it into the battlefield. Otherwise, put that card into your hand. So it could be that you can search the library for an artifact and put it into your battlefield. That's really strong, and strong anyways, but you will not often get that. But yeah, both are by Scott Murphy, so it's cool that he made these both, and it's probably assigned that way, but still a creative way to make a treasure and a Mimic and showing what they do. Circle of Dreams Druid. A 3 mana elf druid. 2/1, so it can be removed really easily. That's dangerous, but it adds green for each creature you control. So not only elves or something, but each creature you control. You probably want this. The realms protected by druids of the Circle of Dreams are gleaming, fruitful places, where dreams and reality blur together and the weary can find rest. It's a nice place. Sam Guai or Sam Gay, I don't know. But that's a cool art because it's so drawn in a way, but this elf is keeping this tree in its arms like it's a baby, and that's really cool. In that way, it's conceptual again. So with a little bit of a monkey owl and a bird here and another bird and a butterfly or something and a little plant and a unicorn and more butterflies. Feels really circular and peaceful. Plundering Barbarian. 3 mana, creature dwarf barbarian. When it enters the battlefield, choose 1. It's a 2/2. Smash the chest, destroy target artifact, or pry it open. Create, which it won't do in this art. Create a treasure token. Yeah, cool choice. And it's always useful again, so that's important for these kinds of artifact destruction cards. Andrew Moore is the artist for this. And that's a cool beard. If you have a beard tribal deck, play this. It's a cool beard. You see a guard approach. Another one of these events. This one is blue, and as we can see, I did try to a little bit let you focus on the party before, but this is the same party as before. Choose 1, distract the guard, tap target creature, or choose to hide, and target creature you control gains hexproof. So the other one made it unblockable, this one gives it hexproof. Looks like we've got company. The other one did tap it as well. Oh no, it returned it to its owner's hand. But it's cool that they kept the party, so it really is trying to force you to make your own adventures with the cards. Dawnbringer Cleric, 2 mana human cleric. When it enters the battlefield, you can choose from 3 options. We have seen this before and it was really great. This one says gain 2 life, so it's always a little bit useful. We have seen the green-white life gain archetype already here. Dispel magic, destroy target enchantment. A little bit conditional, very conditional, but can be strong for a 2 mana card. Or gentle response, exile target card from a graveyard. Very conditional, but it's a cleric. And he's healing, sort of, this guy, I think. Here, I think that's what he chose. He chose to gain 2 life. Charmed Sleep. This is a card that exists in Magic already, so that's cool. We've seen it in Eldraine previously. I've opened this in one of my videos, so go check it out. No, just kidding. You are here to chill, that's nice. 3 mana enchantment aura, and it says when it ends the battlefield, tap target creature, and it doesn't untap during its controller's untap step, so it's tapped forever while the card is on the battlefield. Sultan Boros is the master of jokingly art, let's say it that way. And this one made the dragon sleep while it was still in the air, and now it's crashed into the ground. It's a little bit sad, but the dragon will survive, I hope. Otherwise you wouldn't just make it sleep, right? You hear something on watch, another event, and here we see the dragon card again. This one is holding a pan for some reason, maybe it was cooking something. Rouse the party or set off traps. If you awake the party, creatures you control get +1/+1. If you set off traps, why would you do that? This spell deals 5 damage to target attacking creature. Well, if it would do that, why wouldn't you just do that? So, but he is setting off the traps. Why did you set traps if you were going to set them off yourself? You could just, well, it doesn't matter. Okay, Devour Intellect. It's a brain that's eating another brain. We've seen this brain before with the Kingpin. And now it says, I'll know what you know soon enough. Nihilor, Xanathar Guild Spymaster. So this is the Spymaster of that guild, okay. Target opponent discards a card if mana from a treasure was spent to cast this spell. Instead, the player reveals their hand. How interesting. So if you pay this brain with a treasure, then you can choose. But otherwise, your opponent chooses. And they can choose a land. So if they want, they can do that. Guild Thief is a 2 mana orc rogue. Whenever it deals common damage to a player, put a +1 counter on it. So this wants to get in every time. And for 4 mana, he does a cunning action and he can't be blocked. And this one has power of like ice and water, so it's an interesting character to play probably. And it's also really sneaky. It can even stand on the shoulders of this guy, I think, without him noticing. She puts some coin in the guild's pocket and sends a message at the same time. So this one works for the same guild as this dude, the weird dude. Okay. Gelatinous Cube, 4 mana, creature ooze, engulf. When it ends the battlefield, exile target non-ooze creature an opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield. So you put down this cube of dessert and the creature gets stuck in it. That's really cool. Dissolve. Put target creature card with mana value X exiled with the cube into its owner's graveyard. Put it into their graveyard. You're not killing it. No, you're not destroying it. No, you're not exiling it. No, you're just putting it there. What does that mean? I don't know. Maybe because it was from exile, so it's not destroying it. Oh, okay. But does it have indestructible? Well, no. Right? It's exiled, so it won't have it, I think. I assume. Manticore, 4 mana, is killing a knight. And we have seen this Manticore before too. In the background of another art. But look how vicious this is from Billy. The tail ready to strike him again. Well, it's not even necessary. And that is his ability. Tail Spikes lets you destroy target creature and opponent's controls that was dealt damage this turn. So it only kills it when it's down, but it has Flash, which it needs with this ability. And Flying 2/1 for 4 mana. I don't often like this effect, but it's a little bit of a blowout sometimes. So you see a pair of goblins. I think the party is here, but otherwise I don't know where we see them. But it does look like it. Aaron Miller, I'm not sure. But these look grisly. 3 mana instant. You can charge the goblins and creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn. Or you can try to befriend them. And you create these 2 beautiful creatures as 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. I have the shot. Shall I take it? No, you shall charge them or you shall befriend them. Sorry, Varus. Bull's Strength. 2 mana. Instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains trample and you untap it. Maybe you wanted to use a mana ability and now you want to attack with it. As the iron bars of the portcullis parted like reeds, the defenders of the keep suddenly felt much less secure. 1, because their gates are gone. But 2, because this person is apparently really strong. It was just intimidation. Grazilax, who is also from the same guild. 3 mana, horror, legendary creature. You studied hard, how delicious. That's hurtful. You've studied so hard and now he's eating your knowledge. Whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, you may return it to its owner's hand. That's a strong ability to be able to choose. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. So it's the spy effect, where if you deal damage to your opponent, you may draw a card. But also, if there is an unfavorable block or fight, you can return them to your hand. Cool. And that's a lot of recursion as well. Choose your weapon. 3 mana. You can choose between a sword, or a bow. Or maybe 2 swords or a bow. Oh, 2 weapon fighting. Okay, 2 swords and a bow. Don't forget your water, guys. 3 mana instant. Move it, Varus, or I'll pick one for you. So Varus again. So this is the one from the ranger from the group we saw. Maybe the meaning of all of this is that you have to play these 4 guys against the guild. So yeah, we see the dragon guy again here and the priest. And they're fighting a green dragon, I think. So you can choose to do swords, double target creature's power and toughness until end of turn. So if you have no swords, it's just 1 times the power. But if you have 2 swords, it's 2 times the power. Okay? So, and archery, this spell deals 5 damage to target creature with flying. Well, if you're fighting a dragon, it probably has flying. So, probably choose the bow. But this one has to choose still. Or Eliwick, the planeswalker bard, will pick one for him. Also a possibility. 50 feet of rope. Why is this important to have 50 feet in the name? Well, because in Dungeons and Dragons there's distance. So you will need to know how far the rope lasts. I never understood that. Just, you can use it, okay. But maybe you want to make something high up for scenery and you don't want players to get there. Climb over. This artifact is really versatile, it seems. So you can climb over. Target wall can block this turn. Okay, that's really specific. Tie up. For 3 mana, you can target creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. Or you can rappel down. Venture into the dungeon. That's a strong option, I think. So yeah, still really versatile. And if your opponent is playing Wall Tribal, this is also extra versatile. Orb of Dragonkind. Another red dragon card, which says for 2 mana is an artifact, a rare artifact from Brian Valeza. With the red dragon going there, and this one has stolen its orb, I think. But for 1 mana you can add 2 mana in any combination of colors. Spend this mana only to cast dragon spells or activate dragon abilities. So it only adds 1 mana, but you can make other colors from it. So maybe they're trying to make you play all the 5 dragons of the set together. But you can also sacrifice it and look at the top 7 cards of your library, and you may reveal a dragon card from among them and put it into your hand. And then put the rest on the bottom, luckily. But yeah, being able to choose a dragon from 7 cards, you probably will kind of find what you need. So yeah, nice. If you have enough mana, you can use this to search. Werewolf Pack Leader. 2 mana, human werewolf, 3/3, with the ability Pack Tactics. Whenever it attacks, if you attack with creatures with total power 6 or greater again, this combat, draw a card. The previous attack with power 6 or greater card we saw was linked with dragons, so I don't think that's a tribal thing. It's a tribal thing because this works kind of with wolves probably, but yeah, cool. Until end of turn, werewolf leader has base power and toughness 5/3. So that's almost enough to trigger the 6 power clause. Gains trample and isn't a human anymore. So not for your human tribal decks. That's what they are saying. But yeah, also Miranda, that's a really creepy art, like the woman who is turning into a wolf this way. And where will the dress go? Didn't think about that. The Book of Vile Darkness, 3 mana legendary artifact, which is a mythic from Daniel Ljunggren, made a lich that's really dead because it has a skull for its face. At the beginning of your end step, if you lost 2 or more life this turn, create a 2/2 zombie. That's strong already. Exile the book and artifacts you control named Eye of Vecna and Hand of Vecna. Create Vecna, a legendary 8/8 black zombie god creature token with indestructible. Okay, it gains all triggered abilities of the exiled cards. What? Hold up. So we will have to keep that in mind a little bit. But snap, that will be strong. That will be really strong. But you will have to, you will need 3 artifacts. But there are some cards in this set that look for artifacts, so could be a deck. Moonblessed Cleric, 3 mana human elf cleric with divine intervention. When it enters the battlefield, you may search a library for an enchantment card, reveal it, then shuffle and put that card on top. That's still a 3 mana 3/2, but that's really slow. But still, choosing from your whole deck is always great, and you will get what you need. But most strong enchantments are 4 mana. And if you play this on 3, you probably won't have 4 mana in this deck. So, Saloon guides her devotees with majestic wisdom and grace. So this cleric has a mace to fight with, and then this thing. I don't know what that is. I have to look it up. Even Death Dracolich, which is a cool name for a dragon. And it sounds a little bit like a vampire, but it's a zombie dragon. Flash, flying, 5/2. It enters the battlefield tapped though, so it cannot block. You may cast it from your graveyard if a creature not named Even Death died this turn. So if another creature card died, you can make this return. You can't have two Even Deaths alternating the battlefield. So that it's not that infinite, but whenever a creature you control dies, is not. Oh wait, if a creature. So whenever a creature dies, you can put this back. That's really strong for a 5/2 that can attack them later. Adult Gold Dragon. I think. Did you say the bad talk? That you were this dragon? I think so. Because gold dragons are the greatest of the metallic dragons in size, power, and wisdom, and often take it upon themselves to safeguard mortal communities from evils that might threaten them. So this is for you, man. It's a 5 mana 4/3 with flying, lifelink, and haste. So that's a huge swing. That's 8 mana, 8 life swing. That's a lot of life. So yeah, pretty strong, I think. Nice, and it looks nice as well. Chris Ran, a little bit of a fish dragon, and like how its wings are reflecting the light from the sun, but also scraping this lake's water, making it go up. That's really cool, and it looks like a fish in a way. Imagine standing on the side and seeing this flop around in the water. That's just majestic. Green Dragon, the first of the 5 dragons, all in their color and all literally called Color Dragon. This one is 6 mana for a 4/4, so the weapon from before could kill it. So he probably should have chosen the bow before. But his ability is Poison Breath. When it enters the battlefield onto end of turn, whenever a creature an opponent controls is dealt damage, destroy it. For this turn. So you want a lot of creatures on your battlefield, and then you have a kind of death touch. But also spell death touch. So if you shoot it with a shock, it will die as well. Green dragons take special pleasure in corrupting the good-hearted. Oh, so it's not poisoning them, it's just corrupting them? Oh, that's way nicer. That's way nicer. And then we have the Black Dragon, and this one does poison them, it seems. Black Dragons revel in the collapse of humanoid kingdoms. I think it's poisoning them. This one is 7 mana, also a 4/4, so dragons seem to be 4/4 mostly here. Flying, Acid Breath. When it ends the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls gets -3, so it's definitely poisoning them. Nice to know that. And it does look a little bit evil with its horns. Then on to Nut Dragons again. Dueling Rapier, 1 mana flash equipment. And when it enters, you can attach it to target creature. And then it has +2/+0, but it's equipped for 4 for +2/+0. That's a little bit steep, but I think it's mostly used for the 1 mana flash, give it +2/+0, like the Boulder Rush Dwarf that we have seen before. But she does look happy to have a weapon. And I like that. Anna, great that you made her like the weapon so much. You find the villain's lair. So again, this group of people, we have the Ranger, the Cleric, and the Dragon Knight, and our Bard Planeswalker friend again. And you can choose for foil the scheme of the villain's lair. I think she is not going to foil the scheme. Counter target spell, or you can learn their secrets and draw 2 cards. I think she will draw 2 cards and then discard 2 cards. I think that's what she's gonna do. She's looking at it like, yeah, she sees some potential at least. Give me just a moment, I almost have it. She just wants to read it. I don't trust her. Inspiring Bard, 4 mana, another Bard. And he's inspiring these people to scream in anguish and sleep and wake up. When it ends the battlefield, choose 1. Inspiration, target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Or Song of Rest, you gain 3 life. So that's what it says. You restore life when you scream in anguish as this music. or you sleep. Well, wake up, my friends. There are deeds to be done and treasures to be won. It's a bard, so he will, of course, rhyme a little bit. This time at 90, we will go for another water break, by the way. So I did 50, 40, and then 30 and 20 again. Because not all cards are revealed yet, so we will only do the first half this time. But Battle Cry Goblin. A 2-mana goblin, which is a 2/2. Where for 2 mana you can say all goblins you control get +1/+0 and gain haste until end of turn. And again, pack tactics. So these pack tactics things all work with different things, but they are always, I think, in red and green. But whenever Battlecry Goblin attacks, if you attacked with creatures with total power 6 or greater this turn, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking. So the other one did dragons, the other one lets you draw a card, the werewolf, and this one lets you make a 1/1, which is a little bit less good. But it does enable you to attack with 6 power really easily, because if you have 2 more goblins and you use the ability, you can already attack for 6. So yeah, probably easy to get, so that's nice. Ochre Jelly, which is an X-Spell again. Second X-Spell we saw, the previous one was with the board wipe from black. Here we see the same crew again, with the Dragon Knight and the Cleric. Here, not the Wizard. Trample, a 0/0 with Trample. It ends the battlefield with X +1 counts on it. So it can be pretty big. You can make a 7/7 Trampler with it easily. So here's your Trample if you wanted it. But it also has Split when it dies. If it had 2 or more +1 counts on it, create a token that's a copy of it at the beginning of your next end step. So not immediately. The token enters the battlefield with health that mana +1 counts on it rounded down. So yeah, make sure to make it even. No, you don't have to, but it's probably more efficient. But yeah, that's a nice ability that you won't easily defeat this. And then again, we see the Dragon Knight sacrificing himself again. Darken, often with a little bit of a dark theme to it. But it's nice that he's saving his friend that is probably the only one that can do something about it with her AoE spells. Because him slicing this tentacle off didn't seem to do much. White, with 2 mana zombie soldier. It enters the battlefield tapped again. Again a zombie that enters the battlefield tapped. Whites want the world to resound with echoes of their own cruel hatred. So he's a little bit of the Pain from Naruto character. He has Life Drain. Whenever a creature dealt damage by white this turn, he's just called White. That's just a name. Whenever a creature dealt damage by white this turn dies, create a tapped 2/2 zombie creature token. So you want to let this survive in a way, but maybe you can make a strike deck and make a lot of zombies with it. But otherwise it's just a 3/2 that can get you a zombie back if it kills someone, so that's also pretty good. Oh, Hobgoblin Captain, of which there is another art, but the other art did not have English on it yet. So this one is a 2 mana Goblin Barbarian, second Goblin we saw today. Pack tactics again though. So the other one worked with goblins, and this one has pack tactics as well. Whenever it attacks, you know what pack tactics is now, so. But whenever it attacks with 6 power or greater, it gains first strike. So it does make the creature a lot better, usable at least, but it's not the strongest ability we've seen with that. I think the 1 mana that gives you any dragon from your hand onto the battlefield is still the strongest. Hobgoblins do not fear death. For those who fall in battle have gained glory eternal. Okay. So yeah, they just storm into the cave. But these guys don't seem to be that fearless. Maybe they are just normal goblins. Wish. We see our planeswalker friend here again. But so maybe she's red-green. 3 mana at least for a sorcery. You may play a card you own from outside the game this turn. Which probably only means your sideboard, but also could mean any card from outside of the game if your playgroup likes that. But we see a fire knight here fighting a phoenix or a dragon or both, or maybe the phoenix is on his side a little bit here. I don't know. If you had just one wish, what would it be? Gold or angel's song? Finding a lost love or finding your way back home? Let me sing a song about one wish that came true. Ooh. So she can so she can sing about something and then it will come true. That's cool. Baleful Beholder. 6 mana Beholder. Here we have him again. I think this is the brother from the Kingpin that was trapped into his fishbowl. But this one, you can choose Anti-Magic Cone. Each opponent sacrifices an enchantment. Or Fear Ray. Creatures you control gain menace until end of turn. So you can make your opponent's creatures scared of your dudes. Or you can have them all sacrifice an enchantment. And if your opponent does not have many enchantments, they probably only play the good ones. So that is probably a great effect. Sometimes. In multiplayer. Ranger's Hawk. 1 mana, 1/1 flying bird. Is this... I'm not sure. I think these are different people now. But it does look cool. Like with the way this is made and like the bird's wings are in contrast to the ground here. They're not the same side, but the ground is still onto the same side of the cloud, so the bird feels really really dynamic that way. But I think this one is flying away from its ranger, because this one does seem a little scared. Swift Eyes to scout the way ahead. Flying, for 3 mana you can tap another untapped creature you control and venture into the dungeon. That's pretty good. Okay, we have a little bit of a theme of great 1 mana creatures here that give you value. So that's great. Great art as well. Robin Olafsson, I think. Olafsson. But also we're at the 90 mark, so I will get some new water again. So be right back. Get yourself some water too. Yo. Did you get your water? I hope so. I hope you got your water. Intrepid Outlander. 2 mana, another green Pack Tactics card. Which has reach. 2/3 with reach for 2 mana, that's pretty good. pack tactics with the ability of venturing into the dungeon. So, yeah, you would have to attack with a reach creature, but you can venture into the dungeon. It's a cool art too, like the door is broken and these two rangers kind of find this and they're looking in like, is there something dangerous here? What has broken this door? And now they will have to go in. That's cool. And there's mist coming out, so it's probably not safe. So don't go in, but they will still do it. And going into this dungeon, this particular dungeon with a bow does not seem like a great idea, because the bow does not fit into this entrance already, so you probably won't have a lot of space to move or run away. Celestial Unicorn, 3 mana unicorn, which looks fantastic. Johannes Vos, this is really pure and cute. Whenever you gain life, put a +1 counter on it. So the second card that gives you a +1 counter on the card. So the probably lifelink in green and white will probably be really strong in the limited formats of this. When all hope fails, its light remains. See, if you don't have hope, just look at this, okay? It will be fine. Yeah, if you don't have any hope of surviving this attack by a giant dragon turtle on your ship, just think about that unicorn. This one is a 3 mana 3/5 flash. That's way too strong, right? Drag below, when it enters the battlefield, tap it. And up to 1 target creature an opponent controls. They don't untap during their controller's next untap steps. So you won't be able to use this for a little bit, but then it's a really nice value play, and your opponent had to tap a creature too. That's really strong. That's so strong. It's a rare, but that's really strong. Tiger Tribe Hunter. This one is really cool. I saw this quickly, of course. I tried not to look at them, but this Pack Hunter does look really cool. 5 mana, 4/4 with trample. So this one does have trample. When it attacks with the pack, let's call it that, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, this hunter deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to target creature. So what, you want to sacrifice your own cats? That's harsh, but still. This one lets you hunt another creature when you attack with it, so that's really strong. I think I would play this over the big terrace dinosaur. Definitely. Oswald Fiddlebender, which sounds cool, but it's a gnome. A 2 mana gnome with 2/2 stat line, so it's a pretty chunky gnome for a gnome. Can't see this airship crashing in the near future. Sturdy as a rock. Well, if it's the same one as we saw before, then it's not really sturdy. But I don't think it matters whether your airship is sturdy or not, because it's flying, so. But okay. Magical Tinkering. For 1 white mana, you can tap this and sacrifice an artifact. Search your library for an artifact card with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrificed artifact's mana value exactly, so not less. Put it into the battlefield, then shuffle. Cool. A little bit of the mutation mechanic where it's only for artifacts. I don't know where he gets these artifacts from while he's in the air, but he's a fiddlebender, so I don't know what that means. But that's probably why he can make new artifacts. Zariel Arch. It says Archduke, so I'm going to say that. Archduke of Avernus. 4 mana, another planeswalker that enters with 4 loyalty counters. +1 is creatures you control, gain +1/+0, and gain haste until end of turn. So this wants to work with the goblins. Which seems a little bit weird for this particular person. But create a 1/1 devil, and the devil always deals 1 damage when it dies. You get an emblem with at the end of the first combat phase for your ultimate on your turn. Untap target creature you control. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. So you don't have to attack with all your creatures then at the first attack. But you can choose a little bit, and then the second time you can attack with another creature again. So maybe with another creature that helps one other creature. That's really nice to have. But will take you 3 turns to get this ultimate, depending on how you look at it. I was thinking about this because I didn't see really the payoff card for the pack tactics, but maybe this is it. Demon Fang Null. It's pack colors, pack tactic colors. Dark Gnar, it's called. And this one has killed a human being behind him and has shadow claws and skulls hanging from its back and teeth around its necklace. So his pack tactics ability is to have if you attack with creatures with total power 6 or greater this combat, attacking creatures get +1/+0. Oh, that's not really strong. But you can double its power and toughness for 4 mana, which is not too much for that ability, but you probably will only be able to do that once, so then it becomes a 6/4 or something, and that's not really the most amazing. No, it's not really the payoff, I think. Yet. I think the werewolf was more of a payoff for this than the actual legendary creature here. But I think it's an uncommon legendary, so it can be a little bit more utilitarian, draft based in that way. Devoted Paladin, who is a orc paladin on the night with the sun through its trampling hoofs, which is cool, and ready to strike you. We have seen this sword before as well in the treasure chest chamber. Beacon of Hope. When it enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +1/+1 and vigilance. I don't know what this means, that creatures get vigilance. Maybe they are more awake when their commander is around. I swore a sacred oath to protect the weak and punish those who threaten them. As long as I draw breath, I will protect you. Maybe they gain vigilance because this paladin is protecting them. Something like that. Chris Rallis. It's a little bit of a trope, but it does look cool still. Of course, that's what tropes are for. Cradle of Baldur's Gate, which is of course the one we all know. 2 mana, human elf rogue. When it deals combat damage to a player, that player loses 1 life and mills a card. Then you gain 1 life and scry 1. So you kind of seal knowledge, I guess. Whenever you attack, you may pay 2. If you do, target creature can't be blocked this turn. So that's a once ability? Yeah, that's a whenever you attack, okay. It can get 1 creature through. I think that's the most important ability of this thing. Cool. Brian Sola as well. This is a really cool card. He's balancing the 1 knife that you almost can see in the moon on his 1 finger, which seems dangerous, and people are in their homes and fires are still lit, so it's probably not too late in the night, but he's using the light of the moon to have his knife stay hidden. Well, he is not really hidden because he's just standing on the roof. Fly, 1 blue mana, which lets you enchant a creature, and it has flying, and when it deals combat damage to a player, you may venture into the dungeon. Lee Settleman. This doesn't seem like someone flying, but he's just floating, but it looks cool. And he really needs to fly because this is lava, and I hope his friends can fly too, because otherwise he will have to do the rest alone. And that's never a good plan to have your adventurers split up and stuff. Hunter's Mark, 4 mana instant. This spell costs 1 less to cast if it targets a blue permanent you don't control. This spell can't be countered. So it's a little bit of a blue hate. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Then it deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. So it only has to cost 1 mana against a blue creature. That's really strong in your sideboard. So, but are these two in the same party? That's a cute combination, like this dark elf ranger and this tanky fish shark man. That's cool, Izzy. You always make some cool stuff. That's nice. And they're fighting this Wolverine, which are really aggressive sometimes, or almost all of the times. And does this fish have a cannon on his heart? Gotta appreciate that. Find the Path. 3 mana enchantment. When it enters, venture into the dungeon. But also Enchanted Land has the ability to tap for 2 green mana. So it's a little bit of 3 mana ramp, which is also always good. 2 mana is better, but don't have to have that, and you still get something else for it. That's cool. Mordenkainen's Polymorph. This used to be a dragon, I think. Now it's becoming a doggy. He really likes doggies, doesn't he? Until end of turn, target creature becomes a dragon, or is it turning from a doggy into a dragon? I think that might be the case. Target creature becomes a dragon with base power and toughness 4/4 and gains flying. So Mordenkainen has the ability to create dogs that are 0/0s usually, without flying. That let you that grow as big as your hand is, so they can become really big already. But then you can give them a baseline of 4/4 and flying, so they can get in for massive amounts of damage. If you have 3 hands in your card, if you have 3 cards in your hand, this will be a 7/7 dragon already. So that's really strong as an instant for 2 mana as well. And also cool that this does work really well with the from Strixhaven, the Krondrix. What are they called again? English. It's not going well today. I want to know this, but I don't think I will. Fractal it is. Fractal, sorry. It does work with the fractals really well. Your purpose may change along with your shape, but you will serve regardless. He's really harsh to his doggies. Zombie Ogre. 5 mana Zombie Ogre. His type is just his name. On the plus side, Trog no longer thinks he's clever. Has he been changed? At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, venture into the dungeon. Oh, he's stuck. But he's trying to get through and he's almost through. So watch out, Xanathar. Nicholas Gregory. Yeah, you made it fun. Did he change him into this big ogre and now he can't chase him anymore? That's really big brain and a little bit dangerous. Ray of Frost. 2 mana enchantment aura. Flash. Ends the battlefield if enchanted creature is red, tap it. So we have seen blue hate, now we see red hate. As long as enchanted creature is red, it loses all abilities. And what it definitely says is enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. That's not really great. per se, but it can keep the creature tapped forever, but they need to attack with it first, so they will get something out of it. But if it's red, then you get to tap it, it loses all the abilities, and it is tapped, so it's almost removed. So that's really strong for 2 mana. So yeah, really strong red hate. Definitely seeing no enchantment removal in red itself. So it does have it with green. So that's a possibility that you might definitely want to play back tactics with it. With red, I mean. Keen-Eared Sentry. 2 mana human soldier, you have hexproof. So you yourself, the player, can't be target of spells or abilities your opponents control. Each opponent can't venture into the dungeon more than once each turn. So I think you will want to venture into the dungeon a lot per turn. You're not the first to underestimate me. Luke. It's a little bit double, but it's really smart from Yiko that they have this street, Luke. So they have this street, right? The first thing you see, so you've been tricked as well, or I was tricked at least, is this soldier. Because the soldier is in the light, and we see light, so you think it's about the soldier. This is a creature, so you think it's about the soldier. But then, only half a second later, we see this man here in the background. If we look well, like some people might not notice when they're playing on the small card, but if we look at it here, we definitely see it. We see this. And then at first, you don't look back. But then you see, you're not the first to underestimate me. And then you know, oh, maybe she is smarter than I thought. So you have underestimated her, or I have underestimated her, and maybe you did as well. And now you see that her eyebrow is raised, which is really subtle. But she did notice some sound. So she is keen-eared. She hears better than she sees. So maybe she doesn't need to look at the person that's climbing there to know that he's there. That's really, really smart. Bar the Gate, 3 mana. We see a portal here with the dragon almost coming through it. And this magician is barring the gate with some sort of black anti-magic spell. This path is close to you. But the dragon wants to go through anyways, or so it seems. Counter target creature or planeswalker spell and venture into the dungeon. So it's a little bit of a counter of an essence scatter for 1 mana more. And apparently 1 mana means venturing into the dungeon. We've seen some more expensive parts of that, but I think it's between 1 or 2 mana that this costs. So at first I saw the abilities of the dungeons, like with gain some life or create 1 creature token or something like that. But they can be really strong. Or discard a card from your hand. But they can be really strong. Dwarfhold Champion, 2 mana for a very ferocious dwarf warrior. She looks as if she is going to eat you. Or he, I don't know. But yeah, cool shield. And actually functional armor. As long as it is equipped, it gets a little bit chunkier, as we see from the shield. Courage is neither, I don't know how to say that per se, but I say neither, and don't at me. Is neither a shield nor an axe, but the will to wield both in defense of the innocent. Yeah, that's very philosophically wide to say. But yeah, courage is not an equipment. It's an enchantment probably. Bullet. So what did it say about Bullet? Same with Rust, Monster and Bullet Land Shark. Oh, so Bullet has been something that they picked up in a convenience store and then later made the creature about. That's really cool. does look really weird, but that's so cool that you made something so long ago and then it became a meme and now it's a magic card. That's really cool. 4 mana for a 3/3 beast by Jason Kang. This thing looks really dynamic as it's coming out of the ground and trampling people away. And the horse is a little bit sad. Capable of moving swiftly through even, tightly packed earth and leaping surprising distances above the ground. Wow, that's some strength. Bullets are difficult to escape when they've got scent of prey, so they can smell you from under the ground. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, put a +1 counter on Bullet. This one can grow really fast and really wants to hunt its prey because then it can grow and grow and grow and grow. That's cool. It's a little bit expensive for a vanilla 3/3. Really expensive actually, but it could become bigger, so it's a fantasy, but but still a nice flavor in that way. Feign Death. Okay. Oh, I love this card already. Okay, so we see some elves and some wolf creatures. Sorry if those are other things fighting. And then until end of turn, target creature gains. When this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control with a +1 counter on it. And they're fighting and there's 3 against 3, but this one is feigning death already. Just to hope that they won't eat him later. A drastic measure for dangerous times. He doesn't want to feign death. He is heroic, please believe him. But yeah, these are dangerous times, so he has to do it. And really cool art as well, by the way. Ooh, Yuan-Ti Fangblade. Sorry, yeah, don't know. But this is a snake rogue. Why? Because she has a really long tongue and a really short dagger, but which is really weird. But she has Death Touch because she is a snake, but also because her knife is green. Simon Dominic made this. The air is sweet with the taste of your fear. Now, when it deals common damage to a player, venture into the dungeon. So this one is saying that whenever you deal damage to it helps your party by sneaking in and killing the important people. So that's what the flavor, I think, insinuates. You find a cursed idol with our crew again. 2 mana. This does look really cursed. It's way too human, this idol. But you can choose to smash it. I hope they do, and I think the Dragon Knight is arguing that they should, but lift the curse, destroy target enchantment, or steal its eyes. Create a treasure token and venture into the dungeon. Steal its eyes. You shouldn't. Siddharth made this. Then we should look longer. Well, one thing I see is that the ranger is in the back still guarding the people, so maybe this is meant to show us a little bit of their personalities too. We have seen our Dragon Knight saving the ranger before, and the ranger is a little bit more of a silent type, and in that way we might shape a story about these people. We've seen the cleric and magician being a little bit evil at times, so maybe they want to steal the eyes and keep them for themselves. The bard we don't actually know that much about, even though it's a planeswalker, but we know she can create wishes. Sometimes. Yeah, cool. The walls are cracking, so maybe that's a little bit of a side story here. Yuan-Ti Malison. So the second Yuan-Ti Quanti. I'm just going to say it all, and maybe one of them is true. 2 mana Snake Rogue, 2/1, which can be blocked if it's attacking alone. So we have seen some I want to attack alone cards, so might be an archetype, a blue-black archetype maybe. Silent Slithering Sinister. When it deals damage to a player, venture into the dungeon again. So these rogues all want to deal damage to the player, and then they can venture further into the dungeon. Half-elf monk. Honestly, don't look at the artist yet. Just look at the art and you already know who this is. This is Sultan Boros, of course. If you look at the hyena, he's looking so goofy with his tongue out of his mouth and looking at us as if he's seeing his mom again. And then the monk is looking like she has been enjoying it, and the hyena is looking kind of like he enjoyed it too. But Vigilance 1/4, which is not the most striking part of this card. Stunning Strike says 2 mana, you may tap this card to tap target creature. And tapping a creature whenever you want is sometimes really strong. This fight was over the moment you picked up that clumsy cleaver, I think it is, of a sword. Yeah, so the hyena picked up his big sword and was way too slow to be able to fight this human elf monk. Or half-elf monk. Again, a situation. You're ambushed on the road. 1 mana instant, make a retreat. Return target creature you control to its owner's hand. Or you can stand and fight these bandits. Where is the bard? We don't see her. Oh, she's in the bushes? No, she's not. I don't think so. Hand over your loot and no one gets hurt. That's true. Maybe. But that's not an option. We can retreat or fight. Air Cult Elemental. A 6 mana elemental, which says, when it ends the battlefield, return up to 1 other target creature to its owner's hand. Elemental evil distorts the natural elements, limiting them to aspects of destruction. Did I say elements of destruction? Aspects of destruction. Yeah, so what is this saying? It can't help but destroy stuff. Maybe it wanted to be friends with this knight, and now he can't anymore. Because he is an air elemental and he belongs to a cult of some sort. Clever Conjurer is standing 1 or 2 feet from this wheel, and he doesn't want to hurt his hand, so he uses magic to wield it. I think that's it. Mage Hand, you can tap to untap target permanent not named Clever Conjurer. So you can't infinitely tap and untap these. But there are more tappers that can untap another creature, so you can still do that with another creature. I'm always happy to land a hand. Because his spell is called Mage Hand. Yeah. Grim Wanderer. Don't forget your water. I'm good. Grim Wanderer walks into this inn by Jason A. Engel. And one person is looking around, but everyone else is looking not suspectantly and enjoying his time. Well, this man walks in and seems to just want to drink after a really, really hard day, I think. Because he gets in, he's a goblin warlock, by the way. He gets in with flash, and then he comes in to the inn suddenly with his flash. And he has a tragic backstory. Because you can only cast the spell when another creature has died. Sad. There is a stillness that walks with him. The quiet that follows great tragedy, when even the mourners are too exhausted to weep. Back to another vibe. Shambling Ghast. 1 black mana zombie. What the heck is that snail hand? That looks really weird. They What's that? But when it dies, you can choose to brave the stench. Both options sound like you do that because the second is search the body. But brave the stench says that target creature an opponent controls gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Or you can search the body and create a treasure token, which is an artifact that can tap for mana and then sacrifice itself. If you did not know. But she has an artifact on her body, which is a blue kind of amulet thing. Meteor Swarm. A rare X spell where you have to pay 3 red mana up front. But then it deals 8 damage divided as you choose among X target creatures and their planeswalkers. Okay. That's almost a kill spell if it doesn't have indestructible. Sometimes 1 fireball isn't enough. Sometimes it is not. Imagine you have put together this whole campaign and one person just learned the spell that can make 4 meteorites strike the whole battlefield. And your campaign is gone. You come to the Gnoll camp. And sometimes you don't see the Bard at first, but the Bard is there. She's just a little bit small and she's chilling here. So she's still there. It's really fun that we're following this party, but they're really unlucky too. But you can choose to intimidate them. Well, there are a lot of them, so you might need a lot of charm for that. Up to 2 target creatures can't block. So you might scare off 2 then. Or you can fend them off and target creature gets +3/+1 until end of turn. So probably you want to use this before blocks or then then use it as a combat trick. Easy now everyone, I'll take care of this, says the Dragon Knight. So Dragon Knight is going to intimidate them or fend them off. Well, they're too close for the Ranger to do something, or the Bard. Probably this is not a nice team to have, I don't think, because it's a little bit too ranged. You might need a little bit more melee if you're going into a campaign where you're going to fight a lot of gnolls. Gnolls. I can't say gnolls nicely. You happen on a glade. Again, the team is here, happening on the glade, and the Dragon Knight looks a little bit tired. The Cleric looks a little bit tired. The Bard is saying we need to go to the other side, and maybe we should make camp and return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. But the Ranger says, hey, I've been living here for such a long time. I know these woods. I can just go on for days and nights. And says, I want to journey on and search our library for 2 basic lands and put them into our hand. Which is cool. Someone that is apparently better equipped for the Gnoll camp is Gnoll Hunter. 2 mana with Pack Tactics again. So let's hope this is an okay card. This one gets a +1 counter on it for every time you do attack with your pack. That's pretty good. Yipping and cackling, the hunters tore through the village, leaving nothing but snapped bones and burning homes in their wake. Wake. By Jasper Icing. Looks cool. Really broad-chested dude as well. I accidentally made a joke. Sheshwa. And you have to whisper. You have to them. Sheshwa. Death's Whisper. 4 mana for a beautiful lady. Sim. 4 mana for a human elf warlock. A 1/3. Who made this? Mary? Magni? No, don't say it. Bewitching Whisper says when it enters the battlefield, target creature blocks his turn if able. That's a cool effect. Or Whispers of the Grave at the beginning of your end step. It's not or, it's and, by the way. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, you may pay 2 life. If you do, draw a card. So someone dies and she says, hey, do you have something to say to me? And they say, yes, you have to do this. And then you draw a card and then she stays in your heart forever. Dungeon Descent. A land from Cassia. I don't know. I can't read it. Dungeon. It ends the battlefield tapped and taps for 1 colorless mana. So Eldrazi players, this one is for you. 4 mana. Not really. 4 mana tap. Tap an untapped legendary creature you control. Venture into the dungeon. So not really Eldrazi tribal, but can be good. And 1 legendary creature could do this. Like Hama Pashar, Ruin Seeker. Maybe you want to play that land with her. Room abilities of dungeons you own trigger an additional time. That's really strong. Someone took the time to carve these inscriptions. The least we can do is care enough to read them. That's really meta. Because as a dungeon master, you have put a lot of time into those things that no one might read. So that's true. Ferris, here we have. Oh, by the way, these are from our crew. Hama Pashar is the human wizard from our team, which we have been seeing all the time. That's really cool. So we have seen Nashar already, and now we see Hama Pashar from our team. And Ferris as well, the one who cannot choose and who is a little bit silent all the time. This one is a 3 mana, 3/3 human elf ranger with reach and ward 1, which is not a lot, but can help. Whenever you cast a creature or planeswalker spell, you venture into the dungeon once each turn. But that's still a lot of recurring value as well. And I like that in the art of Ferris, because of course this is Jasper. Yeah, because of course this is Jasper. We see the team again. And there's a doggy. I don't know where he's from, but we see the team in the background. And this one is a little bit of an alone guy, Ferris. But whenever you complete a dungeon, you can create a wolf, which we see here again. So that's one of his abilities. Cool. Zalto, Fire Giant Duke. So yeah, there are giants in red as well. That question was asked before. 5 mana, trample, 7/3. That's a lot of damage. Whenever it is dealt damage, you venture into the dungeon. I don't think this will be dealt damage a lot. I think that's only one time probably. Your opponent will want to remove this. Fire giants love to fight on a large scale. And Duke Zalto is one of the greatest warmongers of his age. Definitely according to the giants. And also notice that this is a giant statue in the background of this card. And this is already a giant. And these are giant wolves as well, I think. So those are really big. Froghemoth, a little bit of a goofy card here, but we need those. 5 mana for a frog horror. That tongue is really, really scary as well. And he is eating someone already, and there's one in his tentacles, and then there's a ranger that's trying to shoot him, but it probably won't work if I'm seeing this. And they're fighting him on his terrain, so that's not smart. But this is a 5 mana 4/4 with trample and haste. So Brent Hollowell, by the way, great art. I like that there's some things to find. But whenever Froghemoth deals damage to a player, which trample counts as well. Exile up to that many target cards from their graveyard. Put a +1 counter on Froghemoth for each creature card exiled this way. So you want to kill a lot of creatures with green-black. You want to get in for damage. And then you might want to finish it off with this guy and grow him a lot. And you gain 1 life for each non-creature card exiled this way. So you want to swing in a lot. But this thing might give you a little bit of life back as well. I really like it. That's the green vibe that we want. You find some prisoners. 2 mana instant, which looks really grim. And we see our Dragon Knight and I forget her name already. But our wizard. By Lisette 1. This is really a vibe. She always makes a vibe. You can break their chains, destroy target artifact or this gate in this case. Or you can interrogate them. And then you exile the top 3 cards of target opponent's library and choose one of them until the end of your next turn. So a little bit of impulsive draw from your opponent's deck. You may play that card, so it also counts for lands. And you may spend mana as though it were any color to cast it. So I think you need that, but that's nice to have on this card especially. But I really like the art with the gloomy parts, and they're arguing again. These two are always arguing, it seems. And the lizard is always trying to help people, and the wizard is always trying to choose for herself in a way. And for a team, by the way. We saw that as well, so don't forget that. Triumphant Adventurer. That's fun. Alexander oh, I can read that in the blur, but Alexander, that's great art. And I don't know who's walking behind, but he is having less fun. But this is Orbs of Colored Human Knight with Death Touch, a 1/1 with Death Touch. So it's still useful because of the Death Touch. But as long as it's your turn, it has First Strike. And First Strike on Death Touch is pretty great, but mostly for defensive purposes. So you won't have that. But whenever it attacks, you venture into the dungeon and you can pretty easily attack with this. So that's really cool. But it's still 1 power, so if your opponent blocks with 2 creatures, your guy will get that. Chaos Channeler. 4 mana, David Palumbo made this. But it has the ability Wild Magic Surge. That is, whenever the 4/3 attacks, you can at least exile the top card of your library. Probably, no, maybe you could exile the top 2 cards of your library, and very maybe, very unlikely, you may exile the top 3 and play them this turn for each of those abilities. So probably like 2, 1.5, something like that, a little bit more, but still good to have. And if you can make it survive, this is recurring value and recurring kind of card draw in red, so that's great. Earth Called Elemental, a 6 mana elemental, 6/6. With Siege Monster, another chaotic ability where you roll another d20. This low chance to have each player sacrifice a permanent, a little bit higher chance, or well, kind of the same actually, for each opponent having to sacrifice a permanent, so you don't have to then. Or with a 20, each opponent sacrifices 2 creatures, which is way harder than 1. Because, yeah, the first one is probably easy to choose. It's just your worst. But then it's, for the second one, it's your worst and the second worst. So that's better. Kick in the Door. 1 mana sorcery. That's great art. Really dynamic with the door splashing in our face and the guy in the back looking in like he is wanting to get some treasure from us. So Justine Cruz, that's a really great art. The sorcery says, put a +1 counter on target creature. It gains haste and can't be blocked by walls because the door is kicked in. And you venture into the dungeon as well. So see, 1 mana for venturing is pretty legit. We tried your way, now we do it in my way. Says Jim, the barbarian of Baldur's Gate. Dungeon map, which has some hands around it. One of a human and one of a kind of zombie or a robot maybe. We can't really see that, but Aaron Miller probably did that on purpose. And what he also did on purpose is the map is kind of in the same kind of rhythm, how do you say it? Like the pattern as the floor. So that's cool too. A 3 mana artifact that can tap for a colorless. And for 3 mana and tapping it again, you can venture into the dungeon every time you can tap it. Wait, is that a secret door? I can tell for sure. There's some blood in the way. That's a shame. They've been fighting a lot, I assume. But here we have Barrowin of Clan Undur. A 4 mana dwarf cleric that has killed a beholder, it seems. But when he enters the battlefield, you may venture into the dungeon, and whenever it attacks, return up to 1 creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield if you have completed a dungeon. So this helps you finish the dungeon, but then you can get some smaller creatures back, which is a really also things to do, which you have seen before a lot, but it might be a little bit hard to get this that fast. So yeah, I'm not sure, but it's still a good ability. Like it's not Lurrus, but he's gone anyways, right? He's gone? No, he's not gone. Is he gone? No, he's not gone, I think. So you probably will play him. Sorry. Fate's Reversal. 2 mana sorcery. Return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Venture into the dungeon. A doom denied or perhaps delayed. With some flowers and someone would die, but this one didn't die anyways. Oh, but the flower... Wow, that's really smart. The flower was alive in the dead person's fate, and the flower died in the alive person's fate. That's really cool. That's really, really cool. I really like the art. The effect is not per se great, but but I like the art, so maybe I'll play it just because of that reason. We'll just do 2 more cards and then we are on the halfway point, and we can finish it anyways today. So I will do another one of these streams, because I'm a completionist of some sorts. Improvised Weaponry, and it has been 3 hours, I see. So that's fine. Improvised Weaponry is a 3 mana sorcery. With the flavor text says, anything can be a weapon if you swing it hard enough. The classic red joke. And you see this person swinging an idol of some sorts to 2 agents from the guild. The brain spy and the other tentacle brain slurper. Improvised Weaponry deals 2 damage to any target for 3 mana and creative treasure token. A 3 mana shock sorcery, that's not the best. +2 mace, which is a joke, of course. Which is an equipment for 2 mana, which gives 2/2. The weight of this magic weapon falls heavy on the wicked. Yeah, it's a heavy weapon for sure. 5 mana to have a creature gain 2/2 is not good. 8 mana to have 2 creatures grow becomes better in draft, so you might be able to use this well. And then lastly for this stream, Drider, 5 mana elf spider, which looks really cool, so that's a nice one to finish off with. But Jody Moore made this. And we see some little spiders in the right bottom corner of this art. where Drider has reach, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, creature, the 2/1 black spider create token with menace and reach. No, it's the other way around. But create a 2/1 black spider creature token with menace and reach. Okay. Will you be able to damage a player? Probably not. It's just a 4/3 when it's attacking, so then it's not really worth the 5 mana. But it would be worth it kinda for 6/4. So if you can do it, then it's great. But that is the end of this particular stream. So yeah, I will see you back, or I will make another one at least, for the second part when all the other cards are revealed. Yeah, nice of you if you were here. If you were not here, you will not see this. And if you were here, I really appreciate you were. So have a nice day.